Welcome back to Practically Fearless with Chris Girata. Today I'm excited to be joined by Commissioner of the Dallas Housing Authority, Almas Muscatwalla. Beyond her role as commissioner, she wears many hats around the DFW area, including president of the board of directors with the Texas Muslim Women's Foundation, member of the DFW Muslim Jewish Advisory Council, and member of Family Gateway. She also co-founded Faith Forward Dallas at Thanksgiving Square. Almas, I'm very glad that you're here.
I am super delighted to be here.
Thank you for making time to be with us today.
Absolutely. You know what I'm remembering today?
What?
Is that panel conversation that you hosted at your church.
Oh yeah, a
with
few years
Omar,
ago.
Nancy, and you
Yes.
yourself, and I'm forgetting
Yes.
who was moderating. It was such a brilliant idea. And this itself is like a brilliant concept. I love it. So thank you.
Well, so you are the first person to do a little bit of an extra thing with us. We
excited.
decided that because of what you do and what you represent, building bridges and bringing people together, that we're going to make friendship bracelets while we talk.
Love it.
Oh my goodness. We'll see how this works out.
Absolutely. I'm excited. Go
So
ahead.
what colors did you pick? You have all the blues, don't
I've
you?
got all the shades of blue and gray, a blend of blues.
I think that's going to look great with your top too.
Yes.
I went with crazy bright colors. So here we go. I'm just going to keep doing this while we talk.
Okay,
And then
got
we're
it.
going to see what we have at the end here.
Oh, no competition, okay?
No competition. Everything's a competition. Almas, come on. So, Almas, I would love for you to start
Yeah.
by telling us just a bit about your background. Now, you were not born in the U.S.
No, not
You
at
got
all.
here in the late 90s, right? Would you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about just kind of your journey and what brought you to the U.S.?
Absolutely. So I moved to the US in 1998. And the pure purpose of us kind of migrating was because I had very young kids. Their ages were like 5 and 2. And we definitely knew that at some point, when they're ready to go to the university, it's going to be the US where they're going to be aspiring to go. And so in that regard, we thought it was a great idea just for us to move to the US when the kids are younger, just kind of grow with them and just kind of, immerse ourselves into this great country that we call America. And that's exactly what we did. So we've been here since 1998, and I've lived in Plano since then.
So what brought you to Texas?
So that's a very interesting question. I think we picked Dallas in particular because my sister-in-law lives here.
Oh, okay.
So in fact, my husband kind of went to Atlanta and, he checked out that place, but then he thought, Dallas is going to be better. And another reason was we have a very large Ismaili Muslim community. I'm
Here
a
in
Shia.
DFW?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're a pretty large, representation of the Ismaili Muslim community. In fact, the largest Ismaili population is in Texas. Houston has the largest, and, Dallas, and then kind of comes Atlanta. So we
In
have
the
a pretty-
US?
In the US, yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, I was thinking not in the world, but in the US, yes.
In the US, yeah.
So I'd love for you to say, because so much of your work is bridge building and bringing people together who may not have exposure to one another, understand deeply one another. And so I'd love for you to start by saying a little bit about what makes an Ismaili Muslim different than perhaps other Shia, or I'm imagining most people probably are most familiar with Sunni, and kind of where the differences really are.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very important, piece of distinction that I think I always like to make. And more so because, the moment I say I'm Shia, people typically relate to
probably
the
think
largest Shia population
Iran.
in Iran.
Yeah.
But we are the second largest Shia interpretation of Islam, and we are diverse. We're kind of scattered across the globe in almost 25 countries. And all the population that you see in North America are all immigrants. Of course, most of us, have moved from East Africa and, Asia and Africa, basically. Those are the two countries. But the distinction between the Shias and the Sunni is that Sunnis believed that after the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Allah did not appoint a successor. But as far as the Shias believe that, Allah did ordain Prophet to declare a successor, which according to the Shias, it was his son-in-law, Hazrat Ali, who was the first Imam. And the Shia Ismailis are the only interpretation of the Shia tradition which has a present living Imam. And he has two titles, His Highness and Aga Khan. And so across the globe, he's making strides in building bridges. So when you talk about building bridges, honestly, that inspiration comes directly from my faith. And so the distinction, as I mentioned, is about believing in the notion of Imam and the authority of the Imam, and this notion of authority is not just a secular idea. There's like a lot of esoteric and spiritual connotation to it, which means he was not appointed, but it is a spiritual lineage wherein, one Imam designates the next Imam, but, it's not
spiritual
by
lineage,
appointment. It's a spiritual lineage.
Biological.
Not biological or by appointments or anything like that.
And so where is he living right now?
He lived most part of his life in France, in Aigues-Mortes. And now, interestingly enough, you'll be very excited to learn about this, that the country, Portugal, actually gave him the seat of Imamate. So just like the Pope sits in the Vatican, His Highness has an office
in Portugal
Portugal. So pretty much he runs his entire Aga Khan Development Network, which is the second largest private nonprofit organization that he has established, which he can run that, from that office in Aigues-Mortes.
So it does sound like much of the work you have been doing in the DFW area for the last 25 years is work that's directly inspired by your faith.
Absolutely. And, it's so much so that, extension of my time and knowledge, as I don't know if you already knew, but, when I served, as the executive director with Faith Forward Dallas, I offered my services in a volunteer capacity, which means...
Oh, you were volunteering.
I was just offering my time and knowledge and my expertise without getting paid. So I think what is interesting is that, so we locally, across the globe, if you were to go to any place in the world, you will find an Aga Khan Council or the Ismaili Council, which is the social governance body of the Ismaili Muslim community, and their role is to support the community in a fashion that they become self-sufficient, and so they are able to offer their time and knowledge to the larger community. So the whole purpose is that when I migrated, I had people guiding me on which school I should be sending my kids to, and the whole support system in terms of my spiritual, my intellectual, my educational, physical, even to select what kind of ISD my kids should be going to. Someone's already done that prep work, for me. So all I'm doing is like just kind of following some of that direction that was given by the Ismaili Council.
What a gift that is.
What an amazing gift. And if you're guided by a faith tradition, and if you have such a strong support system, then your natural instinct is to kind of give back, that time and knowledge that you have accumulated, and then offer it back to the community. And that's exactly what, I've been doing. And I can tell you, I think it has been an awesome, amazing journey so far.
So of all the things that you've done in the DFW area, what would you say is most fulfilling, or what do you look back on and have perhaps most gratitude, or think it had the most impact? I'd love to hear kind of highlights of some of the things that you've done.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the things, like, I don't know, I absolutely want to be vulnerable here and say that I struggled, to make a distinction between justice and peace. I almost felt like I always used to kind of rate peace higher than justice.
Okay.
And harmony and peace was important. So it's okay if sometimes justice gets compromised. That's kind of very early part of my journey. Okay. But I think my biggest and my highlight, if I were to kind of really name a few, obviously creation of Faith Forward Dallas
Sure.
has definitely been my highlight, because I think what Faith Forward Dallas has done is that I think it brought all the different faith traditions together, faith leaders together, and then encouraged them to actually extend their idea of their faith beyond their congregations and offer it, to the larger community, and and to be able to embrace the differences in the theology that by default we carried. The fact that I'm a Shia Ismaili Muslim, the fact that others were LDS, or so to be able to actually extend themselves outside of their own distinctness and to be able to find a common ground has been a joy to watch. I
Now,
mean,
you've been doing this for quite a while in Dallas, and I wonder, I have to think, just to place myself in your shoes, coming here in the late 90s, only a couple years later,
yeah,
9/11.
yeah.
And so, as now a Muslim American, that had to have shaped so much of what you then have become. Because my own experience was, I did a lot of world religion, comparative religion, and when 9/11 happened, I knew a lot about Islam and immediately was able to clarify for friends who knew nothing that Islam is grounded in peace. It is over and over and over again, that is what is taught, and that a particular group of people who take that idea and twist it and pervert it and make it extreme, that is not everyone else within the tradition. But I was also not Muslim.
Sure.
And so it was a little easier for me to speak about it because I was not feeling any sort of judgment or no violence against me or anything like that. How much of that shaped what you then did over the last 20 years?
So I think you have to know this thing about me is that I like to convert all my adversities into opportunities.
Great.
So while it seemed like a disaster for Islam, it also kind of gave a lot of opportunities for us to be able to share with the world what Islam is. So, I remember distinctly His Highness's visit to Houston around that time. And then in his guidance, he talked about being the ambassador of the faith of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very typical. One knows how to practice one's faith in the four walls, or even to the larger
Sure.
community. One knows that really well. But suddenly you've been charged with this responsibility to be the ambassador of your faith in not only articulating of what your faith stands for, because you can speak one way, but also living it out so that your actions really exemplified who Muslims are and what Islam stands for. Now, that was not something that I had experienced, in India growing up. Of course, even there, we are the minority, Muslims are
Sure.
the minority. But so that was quite it was a milestone event, I
Very
would say,
formative.
in my life, in all the Muslims' life. I can speak like on behalf of so many Muslims who then had to take an extra role, extra responsibility of not only practicing their own faith in the way they understood it.
I have to think that that's both an opportunity and also a frustration for any one person to be put in the position to speak for an entire, very diverse group of people that others might think is homogenous or monolithic when they are not.
Exactly.
That's got to be difficult.
Oh, absolutely. Even today, what you're seeing, everything happening, in Afghanistan, the whole government is vulnerable now to Al Qaeda. Now, if you're going to say what happens in Saudi Arabia and what happens in with Al Qaeda is what Islam is, then you have to be constantly, uh, you know, challenging those notions, that people carry, and then you have to kind of take on that responsibility. And in some cases, those voices are larger and louder than maybe some of the other Muslim voices that may have a whole different interpretation of Islam, and they may be exemplifying it in a whole different way. But then the media doesn't cover that, right? So I guess that is definitely, to your point, was a milestone um, instance, an event, an atrocity that all Muslims. But we haven't recovered from that as yet.
Oh, I
While
believe you.
while we can say that we converted that adversity into opportunity, but it has still not given us the fruits that we're still seeking for, right? We still see so much of Islamophobia and the fear that people carry.